And another breath. And one more time, deep in. Thank you. I always appreciate the fact that you indulge me in that. Gets me there. So as many of you know, I recently adopted an adorable little French bulldog. She's a bulldog boxing terrier named Annie. And she has become the light of my life for a lot of different reasons, not the least of which, in just a few short weeks that I've had her, and it's been just a little over a month, she has taught me so much about unconditional love. Not only the unconditional love that I have for her, but also the unconditional love that I believe that she has for me as well. Which of course is one of the divine aspects of God, isn't it? That unconditional love, and we often attribute it to mothers and to motherhood. That beautiful song, Amy came, thank you. I really wanted that song today, so thank you. That was not an accident. We actually planned it that way. So that unconditional love that we're going to talk about today is that limitless wellspring of love that comes bubbling up to us when we are holding something or someone dear to our hearts. And we're going to be talking a lot about unconditional love in just a moment. I promise I'm not going to spend the entire day talking about my dog. Not the entire day talking about my dog. But the way that this little one came into my life is so serendipitous. It is so universally orderly. It is such a God thing that I really need to share it with you. So are you all willing to hear this story? Yeah? Okay, good. So to begin with, I was not a mother in a traditional sense. In other words, I did not give birth to a child, nor did I raise a child, although I am a pretty cool aunt. And so that's why I said if you had a good influence on a child, because I believe that was. So no kids, but I did raise a number of animals. I had a hamster when I was a kid. I have had fish, had a bird. I've had any number of cats. Yes, crazy cat lady a little bit. And I've even been a stepmom to a couple of dogs. But this is my first foray in being a full-time dog mom. And I gotta tell you, it's different, right? It's different. So I've had any number of experience with cats. These are my cats, George and Lucy. And, you know, they require very little to be happy. They need to get some food, they need some water, they need a clean litter box, they need to get a little bit of affection on their terms. But for the most part, they're pretty self-sufficient, right? Dogs, on the other hand, oh my goodness, they require taking care of, like a lot of taking care of. Not only food and water, but you got to take them out for walks, and you got to have snacks, and you got to do potty training, you got to pick up after them, and you got to play with them, and give them attention, and give them love. Not exactly like a child, but kind of. Yeah? Would you agree? Yeah. For instance, here's one of the things that I wrote on Facebook, because a lot of people have been following the Annie story ever since I got her. And so I shared how my life has really changed drastically since I got this dog. It used to be I would get up in the morning and I would get my coffee and I'd turn on the computer and I'd look at email and I'd check the weather and I'd spend some time on Facebook and then I'd start my day. Well, now what I do is get up and I wake the dog up and I give her lots of cuddles and rubs and then I put something on to go outside, and it's been very interesting outfits, let me tell you, especially if it's really early. And I take her outside. It doesn't matter if it's raining or snowing or light or dark. It does not matter. And we go outside and then I have to pick up after her, of course, and come back, and then she needs some more cuddles and rubs. Somebody needs more cuddles and rubs. And then I gotta feed her and water, and then I'll get my coffee and I'll turn on my computer and I'll check my email and the weather and Facebook. But the ironic thing about all of this is that I don't mind, and I am the quintessential do not talk to me until I've had my first cup of coffee kind of a gal. And yet I am so smitten Marjorie's reading alluded to it a little bit. But Ernest Holmes said, man's three greatest needs are to feel that he is needed, wanted, and loved. To feel that he belongs to the universe in which he lives. Oh, sorry. Where are they? There you go. I'm going to start over again. Man's three greatest needs are to feel that he is needed, wanted, and loved. And to feel that he belongs to the universe in which he lives, and to have an object or objects upon which he may lavish his affection. Everybody just breathe that in. To be loved, to love, and to be loved. So where this new maternal instinct awakened in me was a couple of years ago when I had a boyfriend, and the boyfriend had a dog. And we spent quite a bit of time together, and I really liked having the dog around. However, when the boyfriend left, the dog left as well. So for about a year or so, I've been thinking, I really want to get a dog. But you know, I travel quite a bit. And so just the timing never seemed to be quite right. Until this winter, this kind of winter and early spring, seemed like a good time to maybe start looking in earnest. And my requirements were not terribly stringent, but I had a few. I wanted a female. I wanted it to be an adult, not a puppy. I wanted it to be a rescue. There are enough dogs to go around in the world. I wanted it to be a rescue. Before you judge me about my French bulldog, just listen to the rest of the story. I didn't want it to be too big, but not too tiny, and I didn't want it to be a puppy. I didn't want it to be a senior. Other than that, I was pretty open. And you know, actually, I was, because you know, this is our teaching. Our teaching is to not be too specific, right? Is to lay down the parameters of what we say we want, but then allow the universe to work on our behalf, because the universe has access to all of this information, and we just have that. So no, it has to be this dog, has to be under these circumstances. That's not how it works. So truly, I was open. Female, rescue, and not a puppy. That's not too much, right? Right? So I began looking on the pet sites, the rescue sites, and it just wasn't, I was bugging all my friends, you know, do you know anybody, da da da, and things were just not working out for me. I'd seen one dog that I liked, but they didn't get along well with cats, and that was a requirement too. I guess I didn't put that one in, but I got it anyway. See? I didn't put that into my list, but I got it anyway. Dog that gets along with cats. There was another one I was quite taken with, but she had some medical problems. She wasn't quite ready, so I was getting frustrated. Here I was ready to give my love in this way, and it just wasn't happening. Like my dating life. Remember how I said that this was a serendipitous story, that this was a God thing, right? So one day, after expressing my frustration, this is so frustrating, one day I'm sitting in a restaurant having lunch in between appointments. And for some reason, I randomly decided to go on Kijiji and see if there was anybody who maybe was rehoming a dog that fit in with my parameters. I mean, it could happen, right? So I'm looking on Kijiji, and I find a rescue center in Lacombe, which is far away from here. It's like, help me out, it's 100 miles. It was about an hour and a half. It was a long way from here, right? So I never even bothered to look at that rescue center. So I went to their website, and lo and behold, they had 5 or 6 of these French bulldog mixes that had just arrived the day before. I've always loved French bulldogs ever since somebody, I was at a retreat, and this lady brought a French bulldog. His name was Dude, and Dude and I had quite a little romance during the retreat. He slept with me, you know. So I've loved these Frenchies, right? But I never dreamed in a gazillion years that I would find a French bulldog at a shelter. It just doesn't happen. So I called them and I made arrangements to go there that Saturday, and I zoomed up there, and I actually had my eye on a different one, but little Miss Annie, she just stole my heart, you know? There was just that immediate connection. So here's one of the reasons why I wanted to tell this story on Mother's Day. There is method to my madness, folks. The reason why there were this many French bulldogs at the shelter was because they were puppy mill mamas. They had spent their entire lives essentially barefoot and pregnant inside of a kennel. They'd given birth to many different litters. But for whatever reason, the breeder decided that they were no longer viable as breeding dogs. And so they gave the dogs to the shelter the day before I saw the ad. It was a God thing. I get goosebumps when I think about the divine timing that took place for this sweet little mama dog so that she could come and live with me and teach me about unconditional love. Now, I would not be honest with you, however, if I told you that everything has gone absolutely smooth sailing, because it hasn't. For one thing, dogs are expensive. Have you noticed that? I can't go to the store without buying her something. He's like, children, that's right. Oh, she might like this. Yeah. For another thing, because of her background of being a puppy mill mama, she's not completely housebroken. So there's been some surprises a couple of times. Plus, she's a little too interested in any tasty morsels in the litter box. Honest, I know that's so gross, but I had to tell you that. I've never had such a clean litter box in my entire life. Because of me, because I don't want that. Okay, not because she takes care of it. So, that would really be gross. God, for people who are new here, I'm not usually this gross. Honestly, I'm usually this funny, but I'm not usually this gross. Okay, so, all of those challenges, and they have been challenges, have continued to teach me more about unconditional love than if she had been a perfectly well-behaved dog right from the start. So as I often do, I went to the dictionary to look up what the definition of unconditional love, and this is what I came up with. Affection with no limits or conditions. Affection with no limits or conditions. Complete love. Even when it's not easy. Even when your dog pees on your bed. Even when your kid is not making great choices. Even when other people have given up on them. Washington Irving had this to say about unconditional love. He said, a mother's love endures through all, in good repute, in bad repute. In the face of the world's condemnation, a mother still loves on. Still, she remembers the infant smiles that once lifted her bosom with rapture, the merry laugh, the joyful shout of his childhood, the opening promise of his youth, and she can never be brought to think of him as all unworthy. And it's so true. Isn't it true? I know. Mothers love through thick and thin. Mothers love when their kids do good things, and they love when they do not as good things. They might not like what their kid is doing, but they still love the kid. I met a woman a few years ago, actually several years ago, who taught me this lesson so beautifully. She had a son who was just totally out of control. So difficult. In grade 7, he was almost expelled from school, and she had to go to court to make sure that he didn't become a ward of the state. I don't know if that's a phrase here in Canada. It's a phrase in the States. So, he was into drugs. He was not making good choices. And when people would ask her how she could stand by him in the midst of all this, she said, "He's not bad. He is my challenge. He's not bad. He is my challenge." As a young adult, he was working as a waiter at night and hanging out on the beach playing volleyball during the day. And then he had some sort of an awakening. And he realized that he didn't want to be 50 years old working as a waiter and hanging out at the beach. So he got himself straightened out. He got his GED. He met and married a nice girl. And the girl's father saw something in him and offered to put him through school, University of Texas. And at the time that the woman was telling me this story, her son had just completed his medical residency and was about to start a rewarding and fulfilling career as a doctor, making a difference in the world. And what the son attributes his amazing turnaround was that his mother never gave up on him. She loved him unconditionally. She stayed by his side through the good and the less good. And her philosophy in raising this rather difficult young man was never give up. Reject the behavior, but never the person. Mark Twain once said, "My mother had a great deal of trouble with me, but I think she enjoyed it." And I have to tell you, this is my 19th Mother's Day talk. I've been in ministry for 19 years. And I often find Mother's Day talks a little bit difficult, a little bit challenging, because I know that not everybody had a loving and supporting mother. I can't relate to that because I did. My mom was great, but I know that's the case for some people. I know that. So if that is true for anyone here, what I want to offer to you is that, believe it or not, your mom was doing the best she knew how to do with what she knew. Because the truth is, there is not a handbook for being a parent. There isn't a guidebook. Do this, and your kid will turn out fine. There isn't one. It is the ultimate on-the-job training. It is learn as you go, and sometimes you screw up. And sometimes you get things really, really wrong. A colleague of mine, who is considered to be a kind of an expert in forgiveness, was counseling somebody one day, and this person had had a horrible childhood, and he blamed his parents for everything that was wrong in his life. And the truth was, he did have a horrible childhood, and his parents were not great. But the way my colleague described it when he was teaching us about this was so eye-opening, it was so heart-opening, it made a huge difference for me just to hear about it. And he said to this man, "It sounds as if your parents weren't very skilled at parenting. Sounds as if your parents weren't very skilled at parenting." Isn't that a wonderful way of putting it? Instead of saying they were bad, or they were mean, or they were abusive, they weren't skilled. He went on to say, if they could have been more skilled, they would have been. So, I find myself getting a little choked up about that. So if that's the case for you, if you had not skillful parents, if you had a not skillful mother or father, then I invite you to think about this. Life even for our mothers, is an evolving, growing process. Just as you have grown and evolved and learned and changed, so did your mom. I remember getting that awareness for the first time in my life, realizing that as I was starting to learn this teaching and was growing and evolving and learning, I realized so was my mom, that she was not the same person she was when she had me, that life had changed a lot for her. So even as you have evolved and grown, so is your mom. So I invite you to think about one thing, that no matter how unskilled your mom may have been as a parent, her love for you was unconditional to the best of her ability. She may not have known how to parent, but she knew how to love to the best of her ability. It's just a mom thing. So ladies, so many beautiful goddesses. I just want to kind of take you all in for just a minute. You are goddesses. You're beautiful. You are life givers. You are love givers. You are the feminine face of God. You are the giver of love, unconditionally. And you too are loved unconditionally. Happy Mother's Day. And so